Alright, so let's see. Kaiju Universe Devstream. Alright, people, so as some of you may know, this is the Devstream. So this is basically going to be the Vera and everybody else talking about everyone. So it's basically them talking about like the kaiju and development and everything, like kind of how the game will be. I'll make sure I'm gonna have my okay. So volume is turned completely up, so we will be able to hear them. So Godzilla 2026, we know. Anyway, so this is basically. Really, this is gonna be basically one of the kaiju. Basically, them talking about what kaiju is gonna be next and everything. There is about 5 minutes. But yeah. So basically, there's a bunch of people here talking. About 5 minutes left. So yeah, this is basically what's going on. And so, death streams and all that. If you hear any additional sound, it's probably my brother, because he's in the other room playing his game. So yeah, they had a few free codes, so if you're in here and you got that, good for you. Alright, guys, this is it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Great. All right. Well, that's the start of the. Well, it's not the first Prometheo Games KU Devstream, but one of the few, definitely. So yeah, great start. I suppose we're going to just get right into it. Start with introductions. Who we are. We're just a few developers and some owners of KU. I'm here with Jonathan, a modeler for KU. I'm here with Verret, one of the owners of KU, and I'm here with Zorar, one of the owners of KU, and me, the Dice, the assistant head developer of KU. We're just going to hold a little dev stream here. We're going to be answering some questions, big little Q&A and all of that. Bunch of fun topics, and we're also going to be showcasing one of our upcoming new models. And God, I can really say it's been a blast working on it with Jonathan. Jonathan's going to be the one showcasing it to you all. It's probably to this date one of our most detailed models. Now, I can already tell you, it has been somewhat teased. But we've made a few adjustments and we've worked it out to just refine it to that point. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything for the introduction out of the way. Again, just to clarify, Q&A, we're going to be answering a few questions, but let's start off with showing what is to come. Now, I would like to also clarify with that, we're going to be showing it in multiple phases, and we're going to start with just showing you the model itself. Jonathan, take it away.
All right. Believe it should be visible now.
It is. Verret, you got it screen shared? Or, you're watching it?
Show up.
Cool.
Alright,
Well,
so.
Clearly, as you can see, it's Gypsy Danger. Now, some of you may be thinking, hasn't this already been teased? It has. However, we've made a few adjustments, a few refineries, and it has gotten a lot of upgrades and some special things. But first, Jonathan, I'm going to just let you show off the model, a few angles, this, maybe some little specific parts and all that.
All right.
We talked about a little process.
Crazy. So I'll run through some of the poses here. So first, here's a turnaround of the character. As well as some closer up detail. We've added much to the spine and the mechanical portions of the character. And almost everything you can see can move. If I switch out of this mode, you see some of our, here's a classic pose. You see some of the shoulder mechanics as well as the elbows working there and the very large shoulder pauldrons. Here's Gypsy Danger with her swords deployed on both arms.
Somebody in chat just spelled Gypsy as with a Gypsy Dangers with a J.
Here's an explosion of all of which function individually. Here's Gypsy's gun deployed. And the normal fist. So there's some of the poses of our main Jaeger. What would you like to do next, Energize?
All right. Well, first of all, I'd like to definitely say the person that's going to have to animate this is, well, they've got their work cut out for them. As you could have seen, it's got a lot of moving parts, and that is just the arms and all that. Now, surprisingly to some people, this definitely is not all. We're going to be showing more of this model because there is more to show. But before we do that, I suppose we'll get into a little Q&A, shall we, Verit, Zarar, Jonathan?
Yes. So if you'd like to ask some questions, you can ask it in the questions channel, the dev questions channel within the Discord. We'll be answering many of the questions there. So feel free to ask questions there.
Right, let's give it a little, let them all,
Accumulate.
it's going to
Let them all gather.
So the first question we've gotten is, are all Pacific Rim kaijus going to look detailed and polished like Gypsy Danger?
Absolutely. I can definitely already, I suppose, somewhat confirm that. 3 of the current Jaegers have already been teased, to my knowledge. And I can definitely say that, well, the first's more outstanding than the last, and the last is more outstanding than the first. They've all got their own unique little points, unique little details. It's well, simply said, honestly, the Jaegers are probably going to be some of our most impressive models. Mainly due to all of the mechanic parts and the little things like stickers. Jonathan, if you can real quickly actually zoom in on some of these stickers on the, I think it's the chest plate of Gypsy?
Certainly. So, if I zoom in on Gypsy, on our right, we have the kill count prior to fighting Knifehead at the beginning of the movie. Additionally, we have our own version, Roblox-friendly version of Gypsy Danger's insignia. It appears on her launching pad. There are numerous. I suppose I may as well switch it to textured mode so you can see it. You agree, Dice?
Yeah, sure, why not?
So, if I switch into the textured mode, you can see that there's slightly different coloring on many of the panels to make it look like it was assembled out of multiple parts, and it's also got a fair bit of wear in different areas. So 34 on the sides. There are many green and red and white lights spread throughout the character, much like there was in the movie. If I zoom in on the chest here, you see there's individual grading in between the spotlights in the chest, as well as on the pectoral plates, the back wings, the neck guard, as well as Gypsy's face has a number of lights. They're really quite spread throughout the character. Additionally, there's all sorts of small decals here that appear on the character.
All right. Well, simply said, it's there's a lot more of this, and each kaiju has their own big jumble of stickers and such and such. Yeah. I suppose, Fred, do you see another question?
Yeah, so I was going to bring up another question, which is, and this one would be for Jonathan. How long on average does it take to make a model this detailed?
That is an extremely variable question, or answer, I suppose. This detailed, well, the original Gypsy Danger model we made probably about a year ago was modeled in about 3 weeks, very, very roughly. And the updates to the model were made in about a week. However, depending on what exactly it has to do, there's a lot of variation that can sometimes. I think the quickest I've ever done a model is a week, and I think the longest is something like 2 months. So it can vary a lot, especially when you have all the working mechanics and small panel lines and rivets and lights that characters like these have.
All right. Yeah, let's real quickly roll into another question I see here. Question, will Gypsy Danger's moveset be as promising as its model? Well, again, that's going to be quite something to beat, as the model itself is extraordinary. But yes, to give a little bit of insight, when we do work on a moveset, it goes through multiple people. And in general, everybody's able to tip in, give their own little opinion, and, criticize some things that may not be fully ironed out. So we hope to bring something like that, yeah. But as I said, later in the stream, we're going to be showing some other things that this model still has somewhat hidden. So yeah, that's of course going to I don't know, just slide into that section a little better of what the moveset's going to be like and what's going to be quality that will prosper in game, because we don't really like adding things that don't quite meet that bar because they're going to stand out. So of course that sort of segues into a big, I suppose, I don't know, just this movement of how much we really value our dev team and the work they do, the time they put into all of it. And I would honestly like to say, well, of course, logically, this game wouldn't be what it is without them. That goes for the modelers, the people who make the rigs, the animators, and of course the scripters. And really all of the little behind-the-scenes sound design, UI design, everything. It really isn't what it is today without all of those people. But I'm sorry, I'm rambling on. Real quickly, to a short little question: are the Pacific Rim kaijus going to look as detailed as the Jaegers? That is going to be quite a feat. As I said, the Jaegers are extremely detailed, but also with that, we're going to make the Pacific Rim kaijus as accurate as we can possibly make them. We're going to make them as detailed as we can make them, without them lagging the hell out of the game, of course, But apart from that, it's bound to be promising because, again, these Jaegers are already this. What does that mean for the kaijus? But yeah, with that, like Zerar was saying, real quickly, let's roll into what we have next on Gypsy Danger. Jonathan, how do you feel about showing the transformations that it's
Yeah, well, there's a question about that. And the question is, I'll read this question out. Will Gypsy's forearms actually transform, or will it be like Kiryu, where its weapons just fade into existence?
Just show them to answer the question.
I think we can answer that.
Just visually answer the question, please. I forget that I have a live preview here. I keep watching the stream and it's a little bit behind. I'm like, why are things moving?
Oh. Alright, guys, so this is actually really good. This is actually going to be really cool. He actually had like a transforming hand. So this is actually going to take a while. Maybe in like the middle of summer, around July. So yeah.
So you got to do that again.
Yeah, sure.
Do that again, Jonathan.
I'll
do that again. It's too fast. Show it around. Spin around it.
Put it on repeat.
Yeah.
Ooh. Change the angle at which you're viewing it, I think. Wait.
So yeah, this is basically what it's going to look like. That's actually pretty cool.
So this is some of the work that went into Gypsy and trying to determine roughly how the cannon transforms. There are a lot of moving panels inside that allow this, but I guess to answer that question, no, it won't just fade in. It is an actual transformation. Additionally, there's no hiding parts. It works.
Mm-hmm. Jonathan, I might as well ask you, because I happen to know the answer, but how do you... Well, I suppose, how'd the process go of knowing how everything transforms, and how'd you come to know all of that?
Oh, well, that was fun. I watched the same clip for about 6 hours and started modeling the individual pieces. Additionally speaking, I have a overly expensive Gypsy Danger figure, which has some of the panels that do actually move. And I basically tried to reference the movie as close as possible. There's actually, in the movie, if you watch the behind the scenes, there are some clips where you can see things are hiding in the movie. However, we've done our best to try to make it a legitimate transformation. All the parts are inside the arm, and basically it was a very long grind. I think the longest I spent modeling on Gypsy Danger, excluding bathroom breaks, was I think 22 hours at one point.
Excluding bathroom breaks.
Can't forget those, of course. Well, all right. With that, I suppose let's real quickly roll into some questions again. Vert, got a question for you right here. It's not as much a Pacific Rim one, but it's a question. Will you guys ever increase the numbers of players that can be in the server?
That's a good question. So I believe the current server cap is 20, and the reason that we have it at that amount is because of scene limits, right? Now what that means is your computer can actually only handle so many characters in front of you, and we have to be able to support a minimum requirement of computer, right? So like for example, we go all the way down to the iPhone 6, right? We have to be able to support all the way down, and that means that we can only have as large of servers as that phone can handle, right? So that means that either in order to increase the player count, we either need to do two things. We either need to stop supporting lower end devices, or we need to optimize our models more. And optimization is something that's very big that we have to do here, because continuously we have to always push the bar, because not only do we want to increase the quality of our kaijus, but we need to decrease their performance requirements, and oftentimes they fight. Actually, I think this is a great model to kind of demonstrate how much they fight, if you'd like to segue into that, Jonathan.
Yeah, so on Gypsy here, there are many, many moving parts. And one of the things we try to watch is part count and triangle count. And for example, one thing that we're doing is we're managing exactly which parts move on which arm to deploy which weapon. And we've been extraordinarily careful, as Verret said. So this kaiju, or this character, with its details, should perform similarly to many of the characters currently in game. We didn't throw out our performance requirements just to make the character. It still had to meet all the statistics we aim for. But it's a really hard balance. I would have loved to have added a lot more to Gypsy. However, certain things can't be done within a multiplayer Roblox game supporting 20 players. But we do try, and I think for Gypsy it hasn't turned out too bad.
Segueing into another question, which is, will Gypsy Danger be free, a Game Pass? What will its requirements be? We've seen this question many times now. To answer it, Gypsy, for those of you who don't know, back in 2020 when the game released, we briefly had a DLC Game Pass that only a handful of people actually bought, that was for a pre-order effectively for Pacific Rim. And in this pre-order, it did actually say that eventually the DLC itself would be free. So we're still deciding on exactly what we want to do. Obviously, at some point, possibly on release, though that isn't decided, the kaiju will be free. But as of now, we haven't decided when that's going to be, whether we're going to release the kaijus first, then it's going to be free, or what we're going to do in terms of that.
All right. With that big question out of the way, I think we ought to tackle one very big question, which a lot of people also have, and that is about Godzilla x Kong Empire, which of course is the new coming up MonsterVerse Godzilla movie. And somebody asked, will you guys make a 2024 Kong and Godzilla remodel when this movie comes out? Now, I'm going to be quite frank in this. That really depends on the individuality of Godzilla and Kong in the movie. If they really have some very remarkable differences and then maybe tweaks, maybe if Kong has new weapons or stuff like that, or has gotten really old, maybe Godzilla Well, what I was actually thinking, maybe if Godzilla 2021 has not gotten a remodel by that time yet, we could always merge the two if it's got some new abilities or something like that. And then, of course, is the new character, the different ape species in the movie trailer. I can quite easily say about that. We're, of course, going to be adding that. And I suppose I can have some people look forward to when this happens. Of course, demand for the MonsterVerse genre is going to be big again. And we are eventually also planning to add a lot of the unadded kaijus that we do not have in game yet, but are in the Godzilla vs. Kong movie. So you can all look forward to that. And there, I actually have a question for you, which I see here. Will the Easter items be removed in the next update?
Yes. We've been in very much been backed up in terms of updates. We have a very large update that's coming out that I can't give details on. But because of that, we haven't been able to push other updates to actually remove it. And we also forgot. But yes, it shouldn't be around in the next update. Though, on that note, we do plan on adding more things to the map that behave similarly to them and give advantages in combat, since that's been extremely popular.
And then I have another question here, Zarar, which I would actually like to answer with you. Well, we had so many of them that I'm not quite sure which it is, so let's just go over a few of them. And that is, which kaiju has been the most difficult to create, animate, and script? Well, of course, that's
I hate you. I hate you for this question. Because, it's definitely Ghidorah. It has to be the Ghidorah. The King Ghidorah.
No, actually, I think it's been beaten. I think it wholeheartedly has been beaten by Ava, no?
I don't think so. It didn't. Okay, we took 2 years on King Ghidorah because of the amount. We remodeled it 4 times.
That is true. I
We reanimated it 4 or 5 times. 6 different animators.
Oh God, I forgot that it took that long. Holy shit! Oh, that's a while ago. Yeah, that's a while ago. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Still, Ava was such an intricate process. No, I mean, to be fair, it was all done by one of our animators. But it did take a long time. A lot of animations. It's probably the kaiju with the most animations in game. Definitely, actually. 64 animations, if I'm correct. But yeah, real quickly, I want to actually go to the last part because nor me, no Czar can, of course, comment on which kaiju was the most difficult to script. And that's a question for you, Verit.
What kaiju was the most difficult to script? I would actually say that was Monster Zero. And it's not for the reason that it maybe definitely Eva if we're talking about just a kaiju. But me and Zeal had to basically cram 20-hour working days for a full week in order to get the new framework out on time to meet the New Year deadline of when we wanted to get Monster Zero out. So that was a huge crunch. That wasn't quite only Monster Zero, but the new framework was needed for a lot of the features that Monster Zero required. So it also was. If not that, then it would also be Ava, just due to the raw amount of attacks, etc., that was needed for that.
All right. All right, then I actually have another thing right here, which I see, which is basically also your specialty. Shame Zeal isn't here to answer it, but will more minor updates, such as bug fixes or small features, become more common?
I actually answered a pretty similar question to this not that long ago. And so there's a number of factors in here. In terms of rebalances, you're going to start seeing a lot more of them. We really redone how we do rebalances almost entirely so that the community in large can help us with them. and that's something you're going to start seeing in the next update. Actually, we have a large rebalance wave of, I think, 12 kaijus that are getting rebalanced, and then after that, another 12. But in terms of bug fixes and such, what usually ends up happening is immediately after we release an update, we actually start working on the next update. And why it's so problematic for us to release things like bug fixes is because we oftentimes need to do the work twice if we're going to add a bug fix and add it immediately. So typically bug fixes actually get pushed to the next major update because it's very easy to work on the next major update. And there's a lot of things such as testing that we need to do whenever we do a bug fix, and we need to do a whole round of testing to make sure the game isn't going to break. So in terms of bug fixes, probably not as much, but we do definitely want to focus on fixing a lot of the current bugs in game. They just won't be split up into smaller updates.
All right. Garrett, do you see any more questions?
Yes, actually, I see a few. A question for you and Zarar, actually. Or mostly just you. Will you be revealing the loading screen winners in an update or in Discord?
Yes, that's going to be revealed probably in a Discord announcement, probably by Den and Elevated. Probably, I think. I don't actually know. We've already decided upon them, and there have been some. I can honestly, it's just some great submissions. And it's honestly great because it's going to bring a whole new, fresher feel to the whole having to wait to actually spawn. I don't know. I like the little things that get added like that. So yeah, that will be announced pretty soon. Any more questions, Barrett?
Yes, a few more actually.
Let's go with one and then move on to with the Gypsy.
Yeah. The next one will the quality of models take longer to release due to the mass amount of effort that would go into them?
Yes. Well, this one I can, of course, answer with Zarar, and me and Zarar both know that, well, again, we try to really bring the most in every kaiju when it comes to not only modeling, making sure that the rig is just perfect, and also just making sure that the animations are all top quality. Yeah, we do make an effort in that, and that does take a lot of time. But we really try to be secure with that time. We really try to be fast but efficient. So yeah, just a short little question. But yeah, I think it's about time because I got lost in questions. Jonathan, let's show our final little thing about Gypsy that is going to showcase even, or I guess even more little details and really bring out the appreciation for this model in general.
Sure.
Also, just to also say that, like, the more time the community gives us, the better we can do our models, honestly.
Certainly.
Definitely.
So, I mentioned at the beginning of the stream that if you see a panel on Gypsy, it probably moves. And we've got a little animation to demonstrate that. So, I look here.